Hey Reddit, I'm Oliver, 28, and my entire life has revolved around playing second fiddle to my older sister, Vanessa. If you think this is some typical sibling jealousy, you're dead wrong. This is about years of blatant favoritism, manipulation, and a wedding day disaster that changed everything. Vanessa was the golden child, the one my parents worshipped, the one who could do no wrong. If she wanted something, she got it. If I wanted something, I was selfish. If she failed, they made excuses. If I succeeded, it didn't matter. It didn't take me long to realize I was just an afterthought in my own family. Growing up, everything revolved around Vanessa. If it was my birthday, the cake was always her favorite flavor. If my parents bought gifts, hers were bigger, better, and more expensive. If we went out to eat, it was always where she wanted to go. When we were kids, she mostly ignored me. But when we became teenagers, she actively made my life miserable. She would spread rumors about me at school, lie to my parents to get me in trouble, and somehow always come out as the victim. If I defended myself, I was cruel to my sister. If I ignored her, I was cold, and my parents ate it up. By the time I was in high school, I had completely given up on trying to win their approval. I focused on my grades, my friends, and getting the hell out of that house as soon as I could. Vanessa, on the other hand, was a complete mess. She was failing classes, jumping from friend group to friend group, and had no real direction in life. But did my parents acknowledge that? No. They still acted like she was brilliant and that I was somehow the one who needed to do better. The only thing that saved me from total isolation was my extended family. My aunts, uncles, and cousins all saw what was happening, and they didn't buy into Vanessa's act. I clung to them whenever I could, desperate for any sense of belonging. Things only got worse when I started dating. My first girlfriend, Vanessa, hit on her in front of me at a family party. When my girlfriend brushed her off, Vanessa told my parents that she had been the one harassed. My parents forbade me from seeing my girlfriend again. I tried to sneak around it, but eventually the stress was too much. We broke up. My second girlfriend, the exact same thing happened. Vanessa made up some ridiculous lie about my girlfriend flirting with her boyfriend, who, by the way, didn't even exist. My parents accused me of dating untrustworthy women and told me I had a problem with my judgment. At this point, I wasn't even surprised. I stopped bringing people home. I started keeping my life completely separate from my family. And that's when I met her. Emma changed everything. She was nothing like Vanessa. She was warm, kind, and supportive, everything I had never experienced in my family. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had someone on my side. I kept our relationship private for as long as I could, but eventually, my parents demanded to meet her. I was hesitant, but Emma insisted. She believed in giving people a chance. And Vanessa? She saw that as a challenge. The night Emma met my family, Vanessa was in rare form. She made snide comments, fake compliments, and tried everything to embarrass Emma. She went on about how Oliver never brings girls around, so this must be special, and I'm just so shocked that he managed to land someone like you. Emma handled it with grace. She smiled, laughed at Vanessa's fake jokes, and didn't take the bait. My parents loved her for it. And Vanessa? She hated her for it. Fast forward a few years, and Emma and I were engaged. I knew my parents wouldn't pay for the wedding. They had already spent thousands on Vanessa's failed college attempts and ridiculous shopping sprees. So Emma and I planned a modest but beautiful ceremony. We sent out invitations, booked a venue, and started preparing for our day. And then one afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my mother. Oliver, we need to talk. There's something important we want to discuss before your wedding. I frowned. That didn't sound good. But I had no idea just how bad it was going to be. I met my parents for dinner, expecting a typical conversation about wedding logistics. Instead, they dropped a bombshell. We'll pay for the entire wedding, my mom said, smiling. But there's one condition. I raised an eyebrow. Okay. She glanced at my dad, who nodded. Vanessa needs to walk down the aisle first. I stared at them. I'm sorry. What? It's only fair, my mom continued. It's tradition for the older sibling to marry first. Since Vanessa isn't engaged yet, this would give her a special moment before you. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. This is a joke, right? It's not a joke, my dad said, his tone serious. Your sister deserves this. I leaned forward. So let me get this straight. You want Vanessa, who has made my life hell, to walk down the aisle before my own bride? In her own dress? With her own entrance? At my wedding? My mom nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I shook my head, trying to process this insanity. Are you out of your minds? Oliver, my dad warned. It's not that big of a deal. I pushed my chair back. You know what? You're right. It's not a big deal. Because it's not happening. I stood up. Sit down, Oliver, my mom said sharply. This is a family decision. I grabbed my jacket. No, this is my wedding. And you two? You are not invited anymore. And then, for the first time in my life, I walked away from them. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I didn't try to explain why their request was insane. I just left, because I had already decided. This was my moment. And for once, I wasn't letting Vanessa take it from me. Walking away from my parents should have been the end of it. I should have felt free, relieved, maybe even victorious. But if there's one thing I learned growing up in my family, it's that Vanessa never loses quietly. And this time, she was about to go nuclear. After I stormed out of that dinner, I immediately called Emma. I told her everything, how my parents had seriously expected me to let Vanessa walk down the aisle first, how they tried to manipulate me into believing it was tradition, and how I had finally told them to get out of my life. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. I'm so sorry, Oliver. I frowned. Why are you apologizing? Because I know how much you wanted them to be there. And because I know this isn't over. And damn it, she was right. It was far from over. The first sign of trouble came the next morning. I woke up to dozens of missed calls and texts. At first, I thought maybe it was just my parents trying to guilt-trip me into changing my mind. But when I started reading the messages, I realized this was so much worse. My aunt had texted, Aunt Lisa, Oliver, call me ASAP. There's a huge problem. Then my cousin, Derek. Dude, what the hell is Vanessa talking about? Even my boss. Boss, hey Oliver, just checking in. Everything okay? Let me know if you need some personal time. My stomach dropped. What had she done? I scrolled further, and then there it was. A massive Facebook post from Vanessa. It started with, I never thought I'd have to share something so painful, but sometimes family betrays you in ways you never imagined. I'm heartbroken. I feel humiliated. I've never felt so unwanted in my own family. And then she spun the story. She made it sound like I was the selfish one, that I had humiliated her by refusing to honor family tradition, that I had publicly disowned my parents over a minor disagreement and left them in tears. And the comments? They were brutal. Comment number 1. OMG, Vanessa. I can't believe he did that to you. That's so cruel. Comment number 2. Your brother has always been jealous of you. Now he's showing his true colors. Comment number 3. He's probably being manipulated by his fiancée. Classic toxic relationship move. Comment number 4. No wonder he didn't want to pay for the wedding himself. He just wanted to make it all about him. I felt my blood boil. She had flipped the entire story, made it sound like she was the victim. And the worst part? People were eating it up. Emma walked in as I was staring at my phone, gripping it so hard my knuckles turned white. She frowned. What happened? I turned the screen toward her. Vanessa happened. She skimmed the post, then let out a low whistle. Wow, she really went all in on the drama, huh? She's turning people against me, I said, my voice tight. Emma sat beside me, placing a hand on my knee. Who cares what a bunch of Facebook strangers think? It's not just strangers, I muttered. Family members. Friends. My boss saw this. Emma's expression darkened. Oh, yeah. Oh. By the end of the day, the damage had spread. Friends were texting me, asking if I was okay. Some family members uninvited themselves from the wedding, saying they didn't want to take sides. And my mom? She called me, sobbing. How could you do this to Vanessa? She cried. She's devastated. She's barely eating. I cut her off. She's not devastated, Mom. She's furious that I told her no. She just wanted one moment, Oliver, my mom pleaded. One moment before you took everything from her. I laughed. Took everything from her? This is my wedding. You have Emma, she sniffled. Vanessa has no one. And there it was. The same old guilt trip. The same old attempt to make me responsible for Vanessa's misery. But this time, I wasn't falling for it. I took a deep breath. Mom, if you want to be at my wedding, then you need to stop this. Tell Vanessa to take the post down. Tell her to move on. I can't do that, she whispered. I closed my eyes. Then don't bother showing up. And then I hung up. For days, Vanessa milked her victim status. She posted vague quotes about family betrayal. She made dramatic comments about how life wasn't fair. She posted pictures of my parents having dinner with her, captioned, "At least I still have the people who truly love me." It was all so pathetic. But then she crossed a line, because suddenly my job was in danger. One afternoon, my boss pulled me aside. He looked uncomfortable. "Oliver, I wanted to check in on something." I frowned. "Sure. What's up?" He hesitated. "We received an email. An anonymous one." My stomach dropped. "About what?" He exhaled. "About you. Saying you have anger issues. That you're emotionally abusive. That you threatened a family member." I felt my blood run cold. Vanessa. It had to be Vanessa. I took a deep breath. "Sir, with all due respect, that's a complete lie." "I figured," he said quickly. "I just wanted to hear it from you directly." I clenched my jaw. "I have proof. I can show you the messages, the posts, everything." He held up a hand. "It's okay, Oliver. I believe you. Just be careful. Some people will do anything for attention." I nodded, swallowing down my rage. She was trying to ruin my career now. All because I didn't let her turn my wedding into her moment. Enough was enough. That night, I did what I should have done years ago. I blocked Vanessa. I blocked my parents. I sent one final message to the relatives who were still on the fence. If you believe Vanessa's version of events, that's your choice. But I won't have people in my life who entertain her lies. My wedding is happening, with or without you. And just like that, I was free. The next morning, Emma kissed my forehead and smiled. "How do you feel?" I exhaled. Lighter. And for the first time in my life, I actually meant it. Because I had finally cut out the real problem. And Vanessa? She was about to learn the hard way that when you push someone too far, you lose them forever. Cutting my family off should have been the end of it. It should have been a moment I finally found peace. But Vanessa? She wasn't done. Because people like her don't just accept consequences. They fight, manipulate, and twist reality to make themselves the victim. And this time, she was about to take things way too far. After I blocked Vanessa and my parents, things went quiet for a few days. Too quiet. Emma and I focused on finalizing wedding plans, reaching out to vendors, and making sure everything was set for our day. I should have known that silence wouldn't last. Because Vanessa? She was planning her final attack. It started with whispers. A few of my extended family members who had stayed neutral suddenly stopped responding to my messages. Some even outright ignored me when I tried reaching out. Then, one morning, Emma's mom called her, furious. "Emma, what the hell is this about?" Emma put the phone on speaker. "What's wrong?" Her mom took a deep breath. "I just got off the phone with one of my friends. Apparently, Vanessa has been calling people, telling them you and Oliver are liars." Emma and I exchanged a look. "What?" She's saying Oliver is a narcissist, that he isolates people, that he abandoned his own family and is forcing you to cut ties too. I laughed. "That's insane." Her mom wasn't laughing. "It doesn't matter if it's insane. People believe her. She's making it sound like you've brainwashed Emma, that she's trapped in a toxic relationship." Emma clenched her jaw. "This is beyond petty." I ran a hand through my hair. "Who exactly is she calling?" Her mom hesitated. "Everyone." Vanessa was actively trying to destroy my reputation. Not just within the family, but outside of it too. She was calling Emma's extended family. She was reaching out to family friends. She even tried contacting Emma's job to warn them that she was in a manipulative relationship. That's when I knew this wasn't just revenge for the wedding. This was Vanessa trying to burn my entire life down. And I wasn't about to let that happen. I took a deep breath, sat down, and did something I never thought I'd have to do. I wrote a formal statement. Then I posted it. Everywhere. It's come to my attention that certain members of my family are spreading false and malicious lies about me. I won't engage in petty drama, but I will set the record straight. I did not abandon my family. I removed myself from a toxic and manipulative environment after years of mistreatment. My fiancée, Emma, is not being isolated. She has always been supportive of me, and we made the choice together to step away from people who refuse to respect boundaries. I have proof of everything. If anyone doubts the truth, I am more than happy to share the messages, the recordings, and the evidence I have kept. I am done playing this game. I will not be manipulated into defending myself against outright lies. To those who continue to believe these falsehoods, feel free to remove yourselves from my life. I have no room for people who enable toxic behavior. I hit post, and then I waited. And Vanessa? She lost her mind. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails. I ignored all of them. Then, my cousin Derek sent me a message. Derek, holy shit, man. Vanessa is losing it. Me, what she's saying. Derek, she's trying to play it off like you're exaggerating. Saying you're being dramatic. Me, so she's panicking. Derek, big time. She's calling everyone trying to do damage control. But bro, people are turning on her. And just like that, the tables had turned. Family members who had stayed neutral were now seeing Vanessa for what she really was. People started commenting on my post, saying they had always noticed something was off, but never wanted to get involved. Even some of Vanessa's friends started backing away. She had pushed too far, and now she was alone. Then the final nail in the coffin happened. Vanessa's own boyfriend dumped her. Derek sent me a screenshot from Facebook. Vanessa had changed her relationship status to single. A few minutes later, her now ex posted this. I always ignore the red flags. Thought maybe I was overthinking. But seeing how she treated her own brother? Yeah, I'm done. The comments were ruthless. People who had been defending Vanessa were now realizing they had backed the wrong person. And just like that, she had nothing left. A few days later, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened, her voice was small. Tired. Oliver, I don't know what to say. I know you're mad. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. But I think you were right about Vanessa. She's out of control. I stared at my phone. For years, I had wanted to hear those words. For years, I had waited for my parents to finally acknowledge the truth. But now that it was happening, I didn't feel anything. I never called her back. I never responded to Vanessa's last, desperate attempts to explain, because there was nothing left to explain. She had pushed me too far, and now she had to live with the consequences. The wedding day arrived, and it was perfect. No drama, no tension, just me, Emma, and the people who actually cared about us. And Vanessa? She wasn't even a thought in my mind. A few months later, James and I were grabbing drinks when he smirked at me over his beer. So, he said, any regrets? I thought about it, about all the pain, the years of mistreatment, the way Vanessa had always managed to twist reality. Then I smiled. Not a single one, because in the end, I didn't need to get revenge. I didn't need to fight. All I had to do was finally let her destroy herself. And she did. Perfectly.